Most people think that I was pretty crazy for walking away from 20 to 30K months and about 427,000 followers. But what they don't realize is that I was winning a game that I never wanted to play in the first place. Now, to explain why I shut down my business, Weight Loss Warriors, I need to kind of back up and first kind of tell you why I started that fitness business in the first place, and then kind of walk you through the full journey that I went on throughout that business as well. So this video here is basically going to be my story or my journey. So way back in the beginning, I wasn't always a fitness coach. For 10 years of my life, plus a few years of college as well, I was an architectural engineer. I used to design custom houses. Now, that sounds kind of cool, and it was at first. I loved that job for probably 4 or 5 years, first half of that career. And the parts of that job that I enjoyed the most was being creative, being able to be creative every day and designing cool shit and then seeing my creations come to life, literally being built in the real world. That was a good part of the job. But as I progressed through that career, I began to hate it more and more. I just felt trapped more than anything else. I felt like I had a ceiling on my potential in the career. I felt like I had a ceiling on my income. I felt like other people, my bosses, my managers, were more in control of my life than I was, really. I felt like every single day that I would go to work was just kind of this exact same cycle over and over again. I was stuck in this hamster wheel going nowhere. And I simply wanted more for my life, as I'm sure a lot of you can relate to as well. I wanted freedom to live my life on my terms. So by 2017, I got to the point where I couldn't take even another minute of it. Literally every single morning before work, I would sit in my truck in the parking lot, staring up at my office window, just feeling my soul slowly dying. Like, it was dreadful to walk through that door every morning. And the only thing that kept me sane in that time was training in the gym, going to the gym after work every day, working out, lifting weights, pushing my body. It was my escape. It was my stress relief. It was the only thing that was managing my stress at that time. So going through that cycle, after a particularly stressful day at work, at the office, I went to the gym after work as usual, and I was sitting on the bench between sets and I was watching a personal trainer. I was watching a personal trainer with one of their clients, and watching them gave me this crazy idea. I thought, what if I could take or use my passion for fitness as my ticket to freedom as well? What if I could coach clients like this trainer was doing? Now, I was crazy busy with work. I was working 8 to 9 hours a day at my office job, so I couldn't start another career as a gym trainer, right? So I decided that I needed to go online, right? So at that point, I felt like I was far enough in my lifting career, my fitness career. I'd been obsessed with fitness for about 15 years. So I figured that I knew enough to help other people in their fitness journeys as well. I got a few certifications with fitness, nutrition, those kind of things too, but I felt like my experience was enough to help people get results on their own too. So on January 1st of 2018, I launched Weight Loss Warriors. So I was still working in my career at that point too. So what I did is I used every minute of my free time that I could find to work on building this new business that was hopefully going to be my escape plan from this corporate hell that I had been stuck in for almost 10 years at that point, 8 years at that point. So then after 2 years of these foundation setting phase of starting to build this business, a little more than 2 years, March of 2020, I finally walked away from my 10-year career as an engineer, and I dove headfirst into entrepreneurship. And as many of you have probably experienced as well, I was in for a fucking wake-up call when I walked away from that job. Things did not go as planned at all for the first 5-6 months or so of being solely full-time an online fitness coach. Things did not go as planned. So I think it was like about October of that year, of 2020, same year, my savings were starting to bleed dry. Almost daily, I got to the point where I was waking up like sweating at like 3 a.m, heart racing, just going through my brain, trying to calculate how many days or weeks or months I had left until all my money ran out, and I would have to go crawling back to my old boss with my tail between my legs, begging for my job back. So at that point, I was faced with a choice, a very important choice that was going to define the rest of my life, seriously. I had to either figure out one way or another how to make this business work or admit defeat and give up. And up until that point, so 2.5 years or so of building this business, I basically had tried to do everything on my own. I hadn't worked with anybody else. I hadn't had a coach. I hadn't had a mentor. I just got to that point where I was and it wasn't working. So I realized that I needed to do something. I needed to get help. So I hired my first ever business mentor in, I think it was October of 2020. So the mentor that I hired was a coach named Eli Sanchez. And he basically, no lie, saved my life. Or at least he saved me from having to go back to my office job, go begging for my job back. He saved my online business, more or less. So at that point, I was pretty much broke, like I said. Like I had only a couple $1,000s left in my savings account. I had only a couple $1,000s coming in every single month from coaching clients that I had built up on my own. So what I did is I put that investment to hire Eli on a line of credit because I only had enough in my savings account to cover my bills for that month. And I didn't know if I was going to be having more clients next month, right? So honestly, looking back, that was probably not the smartest move. It was like literally gambling, Russian roulette with my future. But what I've come to learn is that sometimes the biggest risks or the biggest bets end up with the biggest rewards. Thankfully, it worked out. Working with Eli and his team taught me a secret weapon that changed everything for my business, which is paid advertising or running ads. So what he did through that, he taught me how to reach strangers who had never heard of me before and then take them from cold to sold in a matter of weeks. He opened my eyes up to this whole new world, this whole new way of running a business that didn't rely on social media algorithms or engagement spamming or cold DMing people. I had tried all that stuff previously. I did everything on my own to try and make it work on my own, and it wasn't working. So he taught me how to get eyeballs on my content from people that I couldn't reach on my own. I couldn't just reach with my content. Paid advertising brought the people to me rather than me going after them, and it worked. So by a few months later, by early 2021, about less than a year after quitting my job, I was signing clients consistently, a lot more consistently. By the end of 2021, so a little over a year then, a year and a half-ish, after quitting my job, end of 2021, I had signed 83 clients and I hit 173,000 cash collected for the year of 2021, right? Which is almost 3 times what I was making at my old career as an engineer. So from that point, I continued to build, continued to scale. And then from 2022 and all of 2023 as well, I was averaging between 20 to 30K per month if we averaged it out and kind of divided it over 24 months, right? That's how I kind of figured that out. So at that point as well is when a lot of things really started to shift in my business. And I decided that the way I had been doing things, the way I was doing things, it wasn't really working for me anymore. So around mid 2022, I started to make a lot of huge shifts or huge changes in my business. So for the first, I guess it would have been 4 years of my business, I was basically in chaos mode. Every single day was hustle and grind for me. At first, I was busting my ass to try and escape my old career as fast as possible. I went from literally starting from nothing, from scratch, to being able to quit my job in 2 years, which is awesome, but that took a lot of hustle and grind. At that point, after I quit, I had that panic mode of where my money was almost run out. So it was panic and chaos to try and get things moving in the right direction again, just get some income coming in. And then it was panic to just build up enough in the bank to have some security so I wasn't freaking out about that anymore, right? So those first 4 years were literally chaos. I was working 10 to 12 hours a day, usually 7 days a week. I was, again, stressed out of my mind. I was barely sleeping. I hardly ever saw friends and family. I literally left a couple of relationships. I broke up with a couple of partners because they wouldn't respect how much time that I wanted or how much time I felt like I needed to spend working on my business. Not a very good life to live. So I started making these shifts. At that point, I felt like I had already solved my money problems. I felt like I was in a safe place. So the big shift that I decided to make in my business was to work towards getting my freedom back. So at that point, mid-2022, and then working towards it over the rest of that year, I started to develop and build a system, my current sell by chat system, that allowed me to stop doing sales calls. I also, around this time, I created my Offer Ascension system, which meant I opened up a group coaching or a community coaching program that was an add-on before my high-ticket one-on-one coaching program to make it more hands-off for me to work with more people, make it easier to scale. I also built out my automated ascension or client acquisition systems as well, which kind of expanded on everything that Eli taught me with ads and added in a lot of automation and lead nurturing systems to warm up prospects even faster, just making it easier to take clients from cold to sold. More or less, that was more hands-off. That was my goal there. It was just trying to automate as much of my business as I can, trying to systemize as much of my business as I can, and trying to productize my service as much as I can to allow me to scale with less effort. Make more income with working less hours was the goal there that I was aiming towards. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into all that stuff because I've got tons of other videos that go over all the intricate details there and deep dive into all the different systems. But basically my goal was to build and create a marketing and back-end system that made it easier, faster, and much less stressful for me to run the business. That was my big end goal there. So by the end of 2022 then it would have been, and early 2023, I went from working 10 to 12 hour days, 7 days a week, down to working only about 4 hours per day, 5 days a week, taking all my weekends off. And my business didn't die. I maintained 20 to 30K per month all the way through the end of 2023 and into early 2024 as well. Now, here is the big plot twist to all this. While all of that sounds amazing, and on paper, if you just looked at the numbers, it was incredible. And I'm incredibly thankful and grateful that I was able to get my business to that point. But there was a lot more to the story than just the numbers on the paper. The truth is, while I was going through my life, I had loved fitness, and the more time I spent in the gym, the more I fell in love with lifting weights, the more I fell in love with improving my body and making all these fitness changes, improving my nutrition, all these things. I loved doing these things myself. But throughout even those 15 years of doing it for myself, I never really dreamed of helping other people get fit or helping other people lose weight. And from the very first client that I ever signed back in probably early 2018, from the very first client that I ever worked with, I never really enjoyed coaching fitness clients. I felt like I didn't vibe with them, if that makes sense. None of the people that I worked with, none of the clients that I had, they never had the same mindset that I did. Like, I was obsessed with working out. I was obsessed with eating healthy and living an active, healthy lifestyle. And as I'm sure you know, the kind of people who hire fitness coaches don't usually like fitness all that much at all, right? They don't enjoy going to the gym. They don't like working out. They don't like pushing really hard. They don't like eating healthy. It's often a battle to get these people to even do a little bit of exercise or make some small changes to their nutrition, right? It was the complete opposite of what I was used to, which is totally fine. It's not on them. It's not their fault. And there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of other coaches who are very passionate about helping other people improve their fitness, helping other people get healthy. And that's amazing. A lot of people are passionate for that, and that's incredible. But I just didn't find that I was right from the beginning. So right from that very first year as a fitness coach, when I launched my business, I knew that this was never going to be a forever thing for me. It was a for now thing. It was going to be my next thing. It was going to be the thing to help me escape my career. It was going to help me make some money. It was going to help me take some time and some space to actually figure out what I was passionate about, figure out what I actually wanted to do for the rest of my life. So as the years continued to go on throughout that fitness business journey from 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 6 years total, right? The more I went through it, the more clients I worked with, the more I hated it. So by the end of January 2024, a little over a year ago now, at that point, I had signed and worked with 866 clients over a total of 6 years. And I felt I had gotten to a point again, even though I was only working 4 or 5 hours a day, even though I was taking all my weekends off, I had all this free time, I was burnt out with the business again. I didn't enjoy working on my business. I didn't enjoy building the business. I got to a point where I'd had enough of it. Now, there's this quote that I love from Naval Ravikant, and he says, "The reason to win the game is so that you can be free of it. The reason to win the game is so that you don't have to play the game anymore," right? And at this point, I had been playing the fitness game for 6 years. I had built a business that gave me my freedom. I had built a business that allowed me to escape my office job, to only work 4 hours a day and make more money than I had literally ever imagined possible for myself. So to me at that time, early 2024, I felt like I had won the game that I set out to play in 2018. So I felt like I had come to the point where it was time for me to be free of it. So in March of 2024, I made one of the hardest decisions of my life. Probably the biggest, most difficult decision of my life was making the decision to pull the trigger and actually quit my 10-year career and take that big risk. So this was probably the second most scariest decision in my life. So in March of 2024, I shut down Weight Loss Warriors for good. I walked away from a 20 to 30K per month business. I walked away from 427,000 social media followers that I'd built over 6 years. Now, part of that at that time was probably a little kick in the ass that made me realize it was the time to do this. Instagram actually shut down my old fitness account with, I think, my Instagram account had like 131 or 132,000 followers that just vanished overnight. That's a story for another day. But that was, I think, kind of like a push or a kick that I needed to make me realize that now is the time to pull the trigger again. Now is the time to make the shift. Now is the time to shut this down and start building the next chapter, playing the next game. So after March 2024, I brought in no more fitness clients. I didn't renew anybody's in my fitness program. I started letting go of a lot of clients. I stopped making any social media posts. I stopped posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I let them all go. Weight Loss Warriors was pretty much done. Thankfully, at that point, I was in a really good position where I wasn't shutting the business down because it wasn't working. It was, at that point, it was basically more profitable than ever. January of 2024 was one of my highest profit months ever. So I wasn't shutting it down because it was broken. I was shutting it down because something inside of me felt broken, if that makes sense. And I'd come to realize that success without fulfillment is, for me anyways, is my ultimate failure. So that brings us to today. While I was building Weight Loss Warriors, throughout that 6-year journey, I did find my passion. I found what I now plan on doing, what I enjoy doing the most, and what I think I'm going to plan on doing for the rest of my life. At this point anyways, this is how I feel. Who knows when that'll change, but probably not for a very long time because I'm actually genuinely excited about this. So while building Weight Loss Warriors, while building that business, I found a part of it that really lit me up, that got me excited, and that was building the marketing engine and building the systems behind the scenes that ran the business, that grew the business, that allowed it to scale. Especially the work that I was doing between 2022, 23, where I was kind of reworking and reformatting the entire business, right? I took this very stressful, chaotic business that I had built, and I turned it into a sustainable, peaceful business that gave me the time, that gave me the energy, the space to think, the freedom to live my own life on my terms, right? While still remaining very profitable and actually increase my revenue throughout that period as well, right? That really fired me up. That was a really exciting year of my life when I was reworking all that and just working towards this goal that I had of freedom. And along with that, it was simply, I fell in love with marketing, the art and the science of marketing, the magic that you can take somebody who has never heard of you before and turn them into a client who's willing to pay you thousands of dollars. That was literally felt like magic to me, or alchemy. So over that 6-year journey then, with that first business, I felt like I got to a point where I had mastered a system for attracting ideal clients, building trust at scale, and creating offers that were just so compelling, so intriguing, that they would convince people to buy without even needing a sales call. Right? I got to the point where I built this conversion system, this client acquisition system that practically ran on autopilot. And so I built the system and I didn't want to just use it for myself. I wanted to help other people implement this for themselves. I want to help other people put this into their businesses so they could build their freedom business, so they could have the freedom that they deserve, so they're not trapped in this chaotic hustle and grind cycle that I was stuck in for so many years. Right? And that is the reason I chose to create and build Category Kings now. Right? It's because I built a 20 to 30K per month business without even being passionate about fitness coaching. So I know that if I was able to do that in that position, I know that there's tons of other coaches out there, fitness, nutrition, health coaches, who are extremely passionate about helping their clients, their fitness clients, have amazing transformations and get incredible results. And that's what fires them up. So I know that if I was able to build a business, I can help other coaches do the exact same and even blow even further past that because they've got the passion behind it as well. So the other reason is that by making this shift to Category Kings and letting go of Weight Loss Warriors, it gives me more space. In Weight Loss Warriors, I was doing the marketing, I was building the systems, I was building these client acquisition systems, but at the same time, I also had to keep up with all the nutrition, health, exercise science that comes along with it so I could continue to get my clients good results and be in the know-how for all the latest trends and all that kind of stuff. And it was competition in my mind between these two things. I had to focus on two things at once. With Category Kings here, I can focus on one thing. I can get really fucking good at marketing, at sales systems, at building businesses, at scaling. I can narrow my focus to get even better results here so I can help other people focus and build these systems in their business so that they can focus on what they love most, which is coaching their clients, which is helping their clients have transformations and get results. So this allows me to just take that stress off of other people and solve these problems for them so I can help them get results with their business while they do what they love. So they can have the freedom in their business as well. That's the goal. Hopefully that all makes sense. Now, I love this because with building Category Kings, I get to wake up every single morning and I get to feel this alignment between what I'm working on, what I'm building, what I'm working towards, and who I am inside. Right? It feels like I'm doing what I'm passionate about. It feels like I'm doing what fires me up, and there's not this internal, how do I say this? Discomfort, this feeling like I'm on the wrong path. I don't have that anymore. That shut off, that disappeared when I shut down Weight Loss Warriors. Now I just wake up feeling fired up, knowing that I'm on the right path going forward. So instead of dreading client calls like I used to, whether it's onboarding calls or group coaching calls or one-on-one coaching calls, whatever it might be, I would dread those every single time they popped up on my calendar. Now I find myself excited. I get fired up looking at my calendar and saying, oh, I've got a strategy session with Brandon today or Spencer today or a group coaching call today, right? I get the opportunity to help these coaches blow up their marketing systems and implement strategies into their business. They're going to help them make more money and have more freedom. And I feel like I have a sense of purpose doing this now that I was missing before. And of course, the money's still great, right? I'm obviously not going to downplay the importance of money. I'm not going to say money is not important either. But now I have something that I never had with Weight Loss Warriors. I'm able to do work that I don't have to force myself to do anymore. I actually enjoy doing this now. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because there's a difference between success and fulfillment. And that is why I'm so passionate about helping other coaches build businesses that don't just make them money, but actually fit who they are. Building a business that aligns with your personal and your business goals so you can build a business and a life on your terms, even if that's different from what I want for myself. I'm able to help other coaches build their dream life and allow them to have a business that fuels and powers that by making them more money than they ever need to enjoy that life to the fullest. So that is why I'm here now. That's my story. That's why I started Weight Loss Warriors. That's why I went through that whole 6-year journey. That's why I shut down Weight Loss Warriors. And that is why I started Category Kings. So that's my story. Hopefully you enjoyed my little walk down memory lane here. If you resonate with any of that at all, I think you're gonna really enjoy it here in my little world. And I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with you, sharing more videos with you, and helping you build a business that you love and you enjoy, that gives you not only the profits, the money, but also the freedom and the flexibility to live your life on your terms. If you're interested in knowing more about how I run my business right now, how I structure it, how I'm structuring Category Kings and my previous business in Weight Loss Warriors, and the system that I'm helping Category Kings members implement so they can scale to 15K plus months with no sales calls and only about 4 hours per day of work, I will drop some links below this video here in the description for you to check out more details. Thank you so much for watching the video here, and I'll talk to you later, my friend.